lost my mouse. I almost lost my mouse.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, Pradeep. Good evening. I'm good, Pradeep. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, Keisha.
Sorry, I accidentally kicked myself out of the meeting. So sorry.
Thought so, no worries.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So happy to see all of you here. Welcome to the second live of February. And that's how February is pronounced, a commonly mispronounced.
Yes.
Mispronounced word. So it's a great month to practice that word. How is everyone doing? Tell us in the chat how everyone is doing, what kind of questions you have. If you want to join us today, let us know.
Yes, let us know. We have Pradeep in the comment section who just said hi to us.
Hi, Pradeep. Nice to see you again.
So, Kisha, today, we were discussing and we were thinking about the sort of topics we want to go ahead with. What do we want to take up, And grammar is such a, it's such a problem area for a lot of people who are learning English, who are who want to learn it or want to perfect it. So we wanted to discuss that. We wanted to address grammar and how it can be.
Yeah, it's the most daunting, right? It's the most
absolutely
daunting aspect of it, of any language, because you don't understand it and it's so complicated sometimes, and then you kind of get confused with it. So and many people give up on it because they find it so confusing. So it is something that we thought we would discuss today, because many people have a lot of questions with just small things that when you're talking, you're like, should I say this? Or should I say this? Or should I say this? We even had a reel on our Instagram channel, our Clapingo Instagram channel, where we had when you're trying to say something, is this right? Or is this right? Maybe that's right. So it's so confusing, especially if you're not so fluent in the language, and if it's a second language. That happens very often. So you get confused and you get very in your head with all these different doubts. Right. So we thought we'd try to help you clear some of those doubts today.
Absolutely, yeah. So that you don't give up on it,
Yeah, absolutely. I can see Harshita. So hi, Harshita.
Hi, Harshita. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. So, one of the most common questions that actually, I don't know, I've seen this question very often. I even saw it on one of our previous lives, was what's the difference between at night and in the night? And, and it got me thinking, because sometimes when you speak English, you don't even realize that you're using certain things in certain situations. So, and I hadn't really thought about it. So I was confused, at night, in the night, I had that moment. And I realized that at night, so I figured this out, that when you're trying to talk about something and you say at night, that means in general is something, it's an activity that you do at night. Like I go to sleep at night, or I pray at night before I sleep. Something that you do generally. It's not about a specific night, but in the night is when you're talking about something more specific, or a specific kind of night. Like I was reading a book in the night, or, so versus I read a book at night. Like they both are giving similar information, but one talks more of a habit and one would talk more about a specific night, like you're talking about one particular night. So this was a question, and this extends a little more to even like the afternoon and the evening, and it goes like this, because usually this at and in concept is only there for the night. The rest is, you never say at afternoon.
At afternoon.
Eat lunch at afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
You usually say I eat lunch in the afternoon. So that this confusion only occurs with this at night thing. I think we have a question from Pradeep. Please explain the type of sentences, present tense or past tense.
The sentences, I'm exhausted.
When do we use these types of sentences? Right. Arushi, you want to try helping him out?
Yes, please. So I'm exhausted is past tense, please. And so let's say you have done some sort of job. Let's say you have submitted some sort of assignment, or you've just got something done, right? And it has been extremely tiring or extremely exhausting. And you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to rest and relax. So you would say, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So basically, I think what you're also trying to say is that you're talking about a task from the past, but it is your current feeling. It is your present feeling. Right? The fact that the word am is used, when is, am, or are is used, it's automatically the present. So when you're saying I am exhausted, that means in this current moment, you are exhausted, right? But it will obviously be because of something that you've just done or something that you've done in the past. So that's something. So it is a present tense sentence technically. Because, that's what it is. But in general, you're trying to say that, it's about an activity in the past. Now, when you're learning to speak English, and especially if you're learning to speak English when you're a little older, that you're not in school, you don't need to get so concerned with is it a present tense sentence, is it a past tense sentence? Because these labels and tags will not really help you much, and sometimes they just end up confusing you. In English, there are 12 tenses. It gets very confusing. No, there are more than that, but like technically the 12 that we use the most. And it becomes a little confusing when you get confused with the exact tag of it. If it's present, past, simple present, simple past, present perfect, it just sounds very confusing. It can be daunting sometimes. But so that's the thing with tenses. I feel like the only real need for tenses is when you want to know how to express a certain action or certain event or certain emotion, or when you want to express something, it's important to understand that this is what I need to say for the other person to understand this. So that's where it becomes a little important. Like a common one is simple past and and present perfect.
Present perfect,
right? Because they're both speaking of past activities, like I have eaten or I ate. What's the difference? What's the real difference? And it's usually in the response and what you're trying to say, or who you're talking to, if it's in response to a certain type of question. So and also when you're saying this sentence, if you're saying it immediately in the afternoon, it's like it's probably you're going to say I have eaten. But if you're saying this in general or like much later in the day, you would probably say I ate breakfast.
Right.
So that's actually I think that helped Pradeep. So
yes,
I'm glad that was useful. So Arushi, what are these other things that you've noticed that a lot of people have questions with or usually have confusion with?
So one of the doubt, like I've heard a lot of people ask, is that, is it making mistakes, or is it making something, or is it doing something?
Right.
And it is actually making. So we do not use to do in that way a lot, right? Like, so you make a mistake, you don't do a mistake. A lot of times you are making something, you're not doing something. And you have to be clear about that.
Right. Like you don't say to do a lot. You say do for homework, because it's a pre-existing thing that you need to finish or complete a certain way. Right. So you say you do homework or you do your work. But when a mistake doesn't exist, you create it. So you make the mistake.
Make a mistake.
So that will probably help you remember it better. So That's usually something, but that's a great confusion that many people do have, and many people do mistake while they're do mistake as in when you're using mistake as a verb. Yeah, then you can say do mistakes. But otherwise you make a mistake.
Make a mistake. Yep.
Yep.
So that is another route. There is another like a very, this is also used a lot,
Right.
which is the error of repeat again.
Right. True.
Right. Because the action of repeating itself is that you're doing an action twice, the same action twice, or like
Again.
thrice, or like again. So you do
Yes.
not need to put again with it. Essentially, you're canceling it out.
Right.
You know? Right.
Yeah.
So you just have to say repeat and you're done with it.
Right.
You're done with that action. Like I repeated it, you're done. You know,
Yeah.
if somebody like, did you pray today? So yes, I repeated it. Or like it's an action you repeat it. You don't have to say repeat again.
Right.
Similarly, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. I think I read your mind. If you were going to talk about the word revert.
Yeah, revert. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the same. It's the same concept. Repeat again is like saying doing it again and again. It's the same. You can say again and again because that has emphasis. It's a different style of speaking. But repeat again doesn't give you any more information and it sounds incorrect.
Incorrect. Yeah. Even revert back is the same thing. Like if somebody's reverting, they are getting back to you. So you don't have to say revert back.
Yeah, if you could just revert to me.
Yeah.
And we have another question from English.
Hi, English.
Also, that was the song that we had in our story today.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, will be plus the ing form or will be plus the ing past tense correct? For example, tomorrow it will be completed. So, by tomorrow it will be reaching you. So, it's basically when you're saying will be, that means it will happen. Will is to say something that will happen in the future, right?
Future, yes.
It will be happening. It will be reaching you by XYZ. Like your food order, your food delivery will be reaching you in 20 minutes or in 30 minutes or in one day if you ordered from somewhere really far away. But so when you're saying will and then you're using ing, that automatically will talk about something that will happen in the future. But the concept is that you already know in the present that this is happening. So it is happening, but it will be completed at some point in the future. So it will reach you in the future, or it will. So another way to say it is that your parcel will reach you tomorrow, or your delivery will reach you in 30 minutes. So that's how you would say. I think I have another question. It will be reached to. It will reach you. Not it will be reached to you. It will reach you. You'll say it reached you, or it has reached you, or it had reached you for an action that has already happened or is completed. So you would say that it reached you, or it has reached you, or depending on when it reached you and what the rest of the context is. So not reached, it would just be reach, REACH. And I hope that answers your question, English. So that's something. So that's, again, don't get caught up in the name of the tense as long as you're understanding the context that you want to use, right?
Yeah. Yes. We have somebody commenting, Kisha, and it's by LearnX Media, and they have asked, can they join us? Yep. Absolutely, you can. Please message us on Clapingo Instagram, direct message us, please, and we'll send you the link. Please do that.
Yep, we're more than happy to have you join us, and you can ask us your questions live, more live than this, and in person almost.
Yes.
So please do, until we get in touch with them and hopefully get them on the call. Any other things that you've noticed?
Any other things that I have noticed?
That
a lot of times I have learners or people get confused in plural and singular. And
Right.
like collective and singular, like they don't know how to do that. So for example, some words are just they are collective in the sense in their true meaning, right? So for example, it's person and it's people,
Right.
right? So people, it by its definition, it means a lot of people together, like a lot of individuals together are
Right.
people.
Right.
You, that's plural, and then you don't have to make it people's, or you don't have
Yeah.
to make it children's,
True.
right? It is the plural
Yeah.
form of the word
Right. And
noun.
to add to that, what happens is then when you don't understand this,
Mhm.
even if you're not making the mistake of people and peoples, you do
Mhm.
tend to make the mistake of you don't know which one to use, is or are,
Is error, yeah.
because there's no S, so we get a little confused. But in actuality, there's still a lot of people. So you will say people are waiting outside, children are playing in the field, like that's what you would say, because there are many as opposed to having just one.
One.
So that's something. So it's not just the mistake of child versus children versus children's.
Mhm.
It's also how do you use it in a sentence correctly, where the rest makes.
Right. So that is where you understand that you're not clear with that concept, is when you start talking,
Yes.
because that is why when Kesha said that learning tenses in a book format or how a book recommends is very different versus how you learn by speaking.
True.
Right?
Yes. I think we have another question, Arushi. Now everything is in your hand or at your hand. Which one is correct?
So everything is in your hand.
I think.
Hi Flex, thank you for asking. Everything is in your hand.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can't be at your hand. At is used when you want to denote, like when this event will happen at a certain time, right?
Yeah.
Versus when you're using in, like you will use it to express something that will happen in. That means like will happen at a, like in a certain place, will happen during a certain place. Like for example here, now everything is in your hand because it's in your hand. Like did that make sense? Like,
yep.
So that.
So, yeah, like at is used sometimes, I think, for like some to talk about a place, like at your doorstep, but it's not in your doorstep. It's
in
at
your doorstep.
Like if your doorstep is here, then they're at it, then in front of it. That's what they're trying. So you
also,
can't say at your hand, because it's like it's there, but you're not really doing anything about it. But if it's in your hands, it's quite literally that it's your responsibility. And another thing is that it should be hands, and not in your hand. Like you can say in your hand, it's in your hand. That's usually better.
But
to say
hands sounds
hands,
right. And Flex, a lot of times this is used in a symbolic way. So you're not quite literally saying that it's in your hand, like like this lipstick is not like it's not in my hand. It's a situation or something that it's in your hand. Now it's in your hand to manage it, or now it's in your hand to fix this, right?
Yeah.
So it's symbolical. It's not an actual. It's not tangible. It's not an actual thing that is in your hand.
Yeah. So that's something that's definitely important. So, and I think that's that's how you figure out a lot of other things. Like you mentioned singular, plural. So again, hand and hands. So all those things. It's not just knowing what the plural form of a certain word is. It's also knowing when to use the plural form, when not to use it, and how to use it. Particularly, you mentioned a very cool thing is that when you're talking about a collective noun, like when you're talking about a collective, then how would you use that in a sentence correctly? Because sometimes I feel like a lot of us get confused when we're trying to talk about a collective. Right?
Okay.
So like a collective noun. Right.
We had a message by Pradeep, but I think he has retracted it.
Yeah. No. I think he was talking about the children.
Yes. We hope we were able to answer your question. Thank you for asking, Flex.
Yes. So like, the collective thing is like saying a group of children. So you don't say a group of children are walking. A group of children is walking, because is goes with the group, which is a singular. There's one group, right? As opposed to the groups of children are walking. There are multiple groups. Then you would say are. So that's just how it would probably, where we get confused, that even though a group is multiple children, the sentence is being formed for the group and not for the children aspect. So the subject would be the group. So you would say a group is walking towards you, or, that way. So that's another common mistake, not knowing which one to take.
Which one to, yeah.
Yeah.
Kisha, what other errors do you think a lot of people make or might have? A lot of like a commonly made mistake.
I think another common mistake, since we've had a couple of questions about it, is that we mistake our prepositions, use of our prepositions. Sometimes the in, the at, the in the night, or at night, all those things, they become confusing because in, at,
then
they're
it's
used
into,
for time. Yes.
Confuses even more.
Time, and it's used for place. So it gets confusing when to use which one. So you don't, and then there's of course the added on also, like on stage is a place. On time, or on on time is about time. I was trying to use another word, but so you can get it, but you know what I mean. So many of these are used for two different things and to mean different things, which creates some confusion when you're doing this. So the easiest way to do this is one place where I do believe that rules are important. Like where tenses, I feel like the tags and all aren't so important, but understanding prepositions like this, these words are called prepositions for anyone who may not have known. It's important to know when to use which one. So they might be really confusing. The in, on, at, above, near, all these things kind of confuse you a little bit. Like they sound like something, they mean something else. So that's something you should just definitely look up just once and go through it and figure it out and know which one is used for what. And then with practice, of course, you'll get much better at it and you'll know how to do it. And so, just generally, that's something. And another thing is that a lot of people end their sentences with prepositions.
Okay.
Preposition has pre. Usually when it has any word that has pre, not all words, but most words that have pre, that means before something.
Yeah.
Use before something else. Right. That's a good thumb rule to remember. So when you say pre something, so you can't end with a preposition. It doesn't make sense.
Right. And it's clear, like it's preposition, right? It's telling you the position.
Yeah. So you put it before a certain noun or verb, or however you're using it. It's used in a certain way. So that's important to remember, because that's the difference between a fluent speaker and a not so fluent speaker, is when you end your sentence with a preposition. It's the same as starting a sentence with a conjunction. Although that's a rule we don't use as much anymore. So you will notice that a lot of people start their sentences with but, or but, or and. Yeah. So it's the same. It's the same concept. You shouldn't do that. So, because it doesn't sound right. But means you have started a new sentence. So even though you are talking in continuation with something of something, it's not the right way to speak. This rule is not so important, the conjunction one, because many people ignore it today and they don't pay that much attention to it. However, the ending with a preposition bit, that's important. It changes the meaning of your sentence.
And I have a solution for this. So whenever you're confused as to which conjunction to use where, or should I start with a conjunction, now that we have, this might confuse you. In case it's confusing you, always remember to make small sentences. So this is how I learned, right? I would make this silly mistake always, that I would start like back when it was not all completely all right to start with conjunctions. I would do that. So, and I would, like, my English teachers would always tell me to not make big sentences, because what is, you can't have and, but, so, this, everything together in
always. Yeah. It is. It's so true.
Which means you're making a sentence, right?
Yep. Yep.
Which then becomes a sounds like a when paragraph is also, you know me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now
So break your sentence. So break your sentences and make smaller sentences. That will also help you while speaking.
Yeah. You make a lot of mistakes with big sentences. You forget the tense you're using. You tend to make mistakes with that. You forget what the subject was because you've added multiple subjects. So
Like you might start with present tense and then it ends with past tense. And then when did it actually happen? Yesterday, today, tomorrow? When will it happen?
True.
You know?
Yeah. I think we have another question from Flex. I will hit it by my hand or with my hand. Which one should we use? A lot of hand questions from you, which works also since your name is Flex. But yeah, it depends. Again, I must say that this depends on the context. If you're hitting someone, you would just say, I will hit you. Although I'm not a big supporter of just you hitting someone or even telling someone that you're going to hit them. But if you're hitting a human being, please don't. But if you are, you can say, I will hit you, or she will hit you, or she hit you. You don't have to mention the hand or the leg. Usually hit is associated with the hand. Because if you're going to use your leg, you'd say kick, I'll kick you, I will kick you, just that. But I will hit it with my hand. So say, for example, you're talking about like you're making a game or some strategy, like you're playing something with a ball or something, like I will hit it with my hand. Then you can say with my hand, not by my hand, with my hand. So, yep, you could say that. If you're using it in a different context. So again, context matters. But if you're hitting a person, you would just say hit you, hit it, or I will hit it, or I will hit it with my hand. Then it depends. So it kind of depends on the context. But I hope you understood which one. But like by my hand is incorrect in all ways. With my hand, definitely. Right. I think we have another question from Pradeep. Me and my sister, or my sister and I?
Oh, I would love to answer this. Because I have an easy way to remember how to remember this. I have an easy way.
Right.
Yeah. So it's my sister and I, right? And how do you rather than saying because me and my sister is wrong, right? It's my sister and I. And how do you remember that? Is that you always give importance to the person that you're referring to, and then you talk about yourself. So it's like if I want to talk about like tomorrow, let's say I'm referring to yesterday, which was today, confusing, sorry. But like if I'm sharing it with my friend that I went live with Keisha, I would say like Keisha and I went live. Because and then how do I remember that is that somebody else is more important than me. So Keisha is more important, and then I'll talk about myself. Right. So this is like a trick to remember how to say this. Because myself and Keisha, or me and Keisha is incorrect.
Yeah. Also, just generally, with using your rule, me and my sister is incorrect. There are times where we say my sister and me, but again, context-based. But so we never say me and my sister. It will always be my sister and me, or my sister and I. Another way to remember this is that the cake was eaten by my sister and me, when it's like this. But my sister and I went to the mall. So that's how you'll remember when to use I versus when to use me. Because if the sentence makes sense with I, like I went to the mall, makes sense. Me went to the mall, not so much.
Not so much.
So if you use it like that, then you'll know when to use me versus when to use I. And to figure out if you should say the other person first or not, it's always the other person first.
Other person first.
Whether you're using me or I. So hopefully that answered.
Other person is more important than you. So you start like that.
Hopefully that answered both your questions.
Keisha, Pradeep had another question, please, which we missed. Retract means remove, ma'am? Or retract?
Yes. It means to take back. It is in some ways to mean it means remove. But it means to retract is more like to take back. This is retracting my hand. It was here and I'm taking it back. It's retract.
Right, like how Pradeep, you had commented, right? But you took
Right.
it back. So
Yes.
that is why you retracted.
Yes, yes. Of course, the end result is that you removed it,
Mm-hmm.
but it basically means like usually it's used for things like, of course, a message, or when there's a statement, like some public official puts out a statement or an article and they realize there's something wrong in it, or they offended someone with it, or there's something that for some reason they need to take it back. So you will say the article was retracted, the statement was retracted.
Correct.
And on YouTube Live, you would say the message was
Retracted. Mm-hmm. So that I wanted to also add something while we were talking about my sister and I. It's not related to it, but I have seen this, like it's a very common mistake when somebody's introducing themselves. They will say that rather saying my name is Arushi, I would say myself Arushi, which is a very common mistake. A lot of new learners or the people who are new to English do while they're introducing themselves. And myself Arushi or myself name is incorrect. Rather, don't do that. Rather than that, you can say, hello, my name is Arushi. Hello, I'm Arushi.
Yes.
So myself.
I am. For sure. That is 100%, I think, something that everyone should remember, because myself is just incorrect. Similarly, there is another statement that is Arushi this side or Kisha this side. Usually that doesn't make that much sense, especially it's done on a phone call. Or like when you're not directly meeting someone face to face, you'd be like Kisha this side, and they're like, but it doesn't sound correct.
Yeah.
I know usually it's used to say that, okay, on this side of the phone call, it's me speaking, but if you just say, it just is not the right way to say that particular thing. You would probably say, oh, hi, I'm Kisha, or this is Kisha. If you're on the phone, you'd say, this is Kisha.
This is Kisha.
XYZ, for whatever reason that you're calling someone. So those two things, myself and this side. two important things to change.
Yep. Well, and if you like, these are very simple statements that you use while introducing yourself, which is also a very basic form of conversation. Like that's how you start conversation. So you will want to perfect this in a way and be sure about it.
For sure. These are the small things. Okay, we have another question from Flex. The link to this video or the link of this video? Good question.
Good question.
Another set of prepositions to
like prepositions is one of the problem areas then, right, Kisha? Because it's been highlighted a lot.
Yes, it is. It's also very confusing because there for some things, some is right, something else is right. The link to this video is correct. Sorry for the suspense while answering the question, Flex, but the link to this video. Could you send me the link of this video is also right.
Also
because
right.
Of the way it exists. Like the video, the link belongs to that video. So that's why you would say the link of this video, like you would say the student of this school. You wouldn't say the student to this school, the student of this school, because the link belongs to the video also, it's correct. And to link, as in to link something to something, you'd say the link to this video. Both are absolutely right. There's no...
Like English, like any language, is very contextual. So you will have to read it. Like if you ever heard it, like if anybody says it or you read it, you have to understand the context and then you can use it,
Right. So yeah, the link of this video is fine. Could you share the link of the video of this video? You can say that. And could you share the link to the video? That's also
correct.
Yeah, the person will understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
there are these things, if you notice, Arushi, especially more in the last 2 years, but all these new technology things, like whether it's YouTube, it makes me sound really old. I'm not as old as I'm making myself sound, but like these new technology things, like Zoom related things, or say app related things, or Instagram, YouTube things, they've kind of changed the way we react and speak about something. We make that mistake. So like sometimes it's changed the correct sentence, the way to say something, because these things didn't exist before. Like
Right.
when a lot of English was created or spoken, there weren't links to videos for sure.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense. Like the word link, of course, existed. Comment, of course, existed. So then we adapt and make it, use it our way. But yeah, those things keep changing. So we can understand that out. I think there's another question.
Kisha, before you go ahead, we have
Yes.
somebody has replied on our story regarding the live, and they have asked, can I join? It's somebody named Kusum. So I'll send her the link.
Yes, please. Definitely. And till then, I'm just going to answer Flex's question. Again, see, it's all about prepositions. So that's why I said that's one thing you can't skip. I can explain it in each context, but you can't skip it completely. I'm good at English, or I'm good in English. That's a particularly confusing one, because it depends. If you're treating English as a subject, you'd say I'm good in English, I'm good in math, but you would also say I'm good at math. But when you're treating it as a specific subject, you say in. And when you're trying to say it's a general skill you have, you probably say, you use more of I'm good at. Like I'm good at dancing, I'm good at singing, I'm good at English, I'm good at writing, I'm good whatever it applies to. So that's usually the difference. Now that most of us are older and no longer in school, the in English is used less. At English would be used much, much more. You'd say I'm good at English, I'm good at math. So that's how it is usually used. Yeah.
Right. So I have sent the link to Kusum, and we can wait for another 5 minutes before.
Yes. Yeah. In case she does join, otherwise then we'll wrap up. And if anyone has any other questions, please do put it in the chat so we can try to clear them. And we also encourage you to subscribe to the channel to help you kind of understand these things and get notifications when we do go live. We do go live every Friday. So you will have a lot of different topics that we cover to learn from. And that's about what we can help with. A lot of different types of topics that we cover, like, with the tenses, we put up a lot of videos to help you understand it. So it becomes easier without having to look at grammar books, because grammar books can get very confusing. So,
and intimidating. Another word, vocabulary building, intimidating.
Yes, it does. It does get extremely intimidating when that happens. So that's something you can do. Another mistake while we're talking about common grammatical errors is articles, like their articles. So if you notice, I said a common mistake is, because I'm talking about one mistake, but I'm talking about multiple articles. So, and the most commonly not just misused. Okay, that's just one issue. Another thing that happens is sometimes they're inserted when it's not required, and sometimes they're forgotten when they are required. Yeah. So that's another thing. It's like preposition. There's such small words. Usually, there are words with like 2 letters and two alphabet words, right? Like at, off, on, in. Such small, simple words, but they create so much confusion. So similarly, like is a 1 letter word, and it still creates confusion. Right. So using that correctly and mastering that is very, very important. So yeah.
With the correct, so like vowels, the ones like that rule, that is also super important.
Yes, we have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel that will help you immediately understand it. It's simple, they're short, they'll help you completely master it. Right. Very, very easily. But LearnX Media has replied saying that he's facing he or she, I'm sorry, I don't know, but facing some sort of technical issues, but wanted to know about pronouns versus conjunctions. I think relative pronoun versus conjunctions, right? But could you tell us a little more about what that question might be so we can help you?
Any specific, like a statement or like an example that would help, please?
Yep. Pradeep has said, I have used the a million times in English exams. and then he corrected it to I used. Both are right, because I'm sure he isn't giving many English exams now, but both are correct. Whatever you said. And yes, you have to use the at the right place, at the right time, in the right way. Written exams, of course, it's easier because you have to just put the. When you're speaking, you should know the difference between the and the. So that creates some confusion. Chandan has joined us. So hi, Chandan. Nice to have you here.
Kisha, I think what LearnX Media is trying to say here is that what is the difference between like where do you use words like who, whom, whose, which, and that versus conjunctions? So like which versus and, or like like versus. So where do you use is something that is asked.
Yeah, I think that mostly it depends. It depends on what the previous part of the sentence is. I'm sorry, I keep saying we keep saying that it's contextual because so many times it really is.
Yes.
But it's like saying, I am the girl who messaged you yesterday, or I am, or that is the boy who called you yesterday. Something like that. So when you're trying, you use this when you're talking about a specific thing, like there are many boys, but you're talking about a specific boy, and then you're trying to give it a little more explanation, as in this is who you're talking about, or this is like, the show which I was talking about.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like I think the answer is in the term like relative pronoun, it's a relation.
Yes.
It's like you're trying to relate to something or to someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best way to put it, Arushi, because then that's how you know how to say it and what you're trying to say.
Right. So, and versus conjunction is when you're trying to join two sentences that otherwise would not have been two sentences.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, but would not have been one whole.
One sentence. Correct.
Yes, because you're trying to say, I went to this and I bought this. When you're trying to do that, then you would. They are similar because sometimes they do connect. You're right. It can create a little bit of confusion. But usually when you're trying to speak about a specific thing, it becomes you use the relative pronouns versus when you're talking in more of a general way, then you use conjunctions just to join multiple sentences, multiple thoughts, multiple things. Yes. But if you have a more specific question, we'd be happy to help.
Yes.
So hope that was useful. Yes. Okay, I don't think we'll have anyone who can join us.
Yes. I was just going to say that because I don't think so. She's online. They are online. The one who has messaged.
Right. Okay, no problem. We'll see them in our next live, which will be next Friday. And if we were helpful to some of you, that makes us very happy. And honestly, our goal always is that if we can be helpful to just one more person and bring them one more step closer to becoming fluent in English, it like our goal is completely fulfilled. So we served our purpose. Right. So hopefully,
to become fluent and confident.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much to everybody who has joined us. I always like to say something at the end to kind of tie this together. So I'm going to give you yet another quote that, this was said in an interview by Harry Styles. And he said this, that a friend told him this, and I'm going to be the friend that shares this with you, that if you're happy doing what you're doing, then nobody can tell you that you're not successful. So if you're happy with where your English is and how far you've come, no one can tell you that you're not successful in it. You don't have to be perfect. Success does not mean perfection. So if you're happy and you are motivated to keep going, so then keep going. So that's our little bit, my advice to you guys to kind of tie this together. And thank you so much for joining us. And Arushi, if you would like to wrap up for us.
Yes, please. I do have a quote, although it's a very, like you might have heard it somewhere, but it's like a
Those
quote
are the best quotes.
that I abide by, or that is something that I'm personally working on. So this is by Walt Disney, the one who created Disney. He had once said, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So if you have the courage, please have the courage to be better at English,
Yep.
So yeah, and go ahead.
If you've seen that dream, make it come true. It's not so difficult.
Yeah, it's not really.
No. So you guys, I know that sounds weird from people who are so fluent and are helping you do it. So it sounds like, what do you guys know? And that doesn't help. But if you keep at it, it will get easier. It will get better. And you have a lot of people helping you for sure. So stay tuned in, keep watching our videos so you'll learn a little more, brush up on skills that you need to, and make sure you subscribe, like, share. Like you can't watch a YouTube video without hearing the words like, share, and subscribe. So definitely do that, and we'll see you guys again next
Friday.
Yep, with a new topic and a new thought, whatever your question. So thank you, Ronak, for the comment on our quotes, and I feel like I just rewatched Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, so I'm going to quote like watch us same time, same place. So it's just in my head. So anyway, thank you everyone. So
thank
nice
you.
To see you all. See you again soon. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
See you. Have a good weekend.